Welcome to the Level Up Life podcast. I'm your host, Scottie Hobbs, and today we're going to talk with Kay Snarr. Kay is a multi-talented entrepreneur and creator with a track record of excellence and innovation. She graduated from the University of Utah's Physician Assistant Program, ranked number 2 in the nation at the time, highlighting her dedication to rigorous academic and professional standards. A visionary designer, she designed the home that won the People's Choice Award for the 2018 Eastern Idaho Parade of Homes. She became a rental property owner at just 23 years old, showcasing her knack for early financial success. Today, she's the CEO and co-founder of Junamour, a travel accessories brand redefining style and practicality for women on the go. Her store will be releasing patent-pending products next month. Her journey is an inspiring mix of creativity, ambition, and a passion for empowering others. Kay, welcome to the show.
Yeah, so I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 3. My youngest is 4, my oldest is 8, and they keep me busy. But despite that, I also work as a PA. I'm a physician assistant, and we specialize in physiatry. It's like non-surgical orthopedics, and I love that job. I love making people feel better. It's a really fulfilling job for me. So it's just a great job. I have fun with my kids, but then I'm also that crazy person who likes to do more things on top of that.
Yeah, you like to stay productive with whatever your mind comes up
Yeah,
with.
yeah. So that's kind of how I got into like doing my other business.
Okay, let's talk. I want to talk about being a PA real quick. I want to because you helped me with my shoulder and a few different things over the course of my life.
Yeah.
What made you to want to be a PA in the first place?
Yeah, so I think that probably comes down to like my parents. They were always really mindful about their health. And so that became a really important priority for me. And as I grew older, I just became fascinated with like how the human body worked. And I just thought it was so cool, all the scientific advancements with medicine. And so I knew I wanted to do something in medicine. I actually started out as an RN, worked for
Okay.
4 years as an RN, and decided that I wanted to go on and do some more things.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you have always wanted to do all these other things. Like we were chatting just before we got started on this that you like all things like interior design and houses as well, and you have a
Yeah.
product you launched. Like, what do you think makes you like so curious to try all of these things?
I feel like I'm one of those people who's like kind of jack of all trades, master of none,
Okay.
because I just love like dipping my feet into like everything. And so I have to like actually just like dial it back and just learn, be like, okay, it's okay, just like focus on a few things. I don't know why I'm that way. I
Yeah.
just love experiencing new things, just trying new things, and I just get lots of joy from that.
Yeah, that's an awesome trait, being able to just have the desire to be curious about things. I think
Yeah.
sometimes people out there just get set on one thing and then they don't explore everything that they could be learning and
Yeah.
like being, even if you're a PA, like I think someone could be like stuck in their ways. Someone could be of just doing things the old way or what's always worked and not curious. So
Hmm.
I think that's a great trait to have.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
curious, curiosity to learn new things.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about you're launching a brand. So how did your business Junamour come about? Like how did that idea start?
So it's really crazy. So I was actually planning on starting a business with my niece,
Okay.
and she got her degree in web design. And so I knew I wanted to partner with her. I was looking at doing some affiliate marketing and blogging. And then just one day I was like, I hate this product that I'm using. So I travel a lot, I fly quite a bit, and I have long hair and I need a lot of shampoo. And the products that are out there were just not cutting it. So every girl's gonna know what I'm talking about. Sorry, Scottie. I don't know
Yeah, I'm
if
like,
you're gonna know about it so much. But I need a lot of shampoo when I travel. I don't want to take a lot of space. And what was happening was the travel bottles I had, all my expensive product was getting stuck in the corners. I couldn't get it out. I couldn't tell my conditioner from my shampoo. And so I was getting frustrated, or the lids would start leaking because the bottles would like crush under pressure or do something weird with the air pressure. And I was like, I wonder if I could make something that could actually fix all these issues.
okay.
And I got onto Amazon and I was just curious. I'm like, well, do these things even sell? And I was surprised. There's like thousands of travel bottles that are being sold every month.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so there's some sort of market for this, but I wasn't seeing anything like what I was envisioning. And so I reached out to my niece and I was like, hey, I know we talked about like doing blogging and affiliate marketing. how would you feel about maybe designing a product with me?
Yeah.
And she was 100% on board, and I was really excited because she's awesome at designing. So she's been really helpful in like our product, logo, brand, just all the design elements of everything. And it was so funny. So I draw this thing out, get her input on it, and I'm like, great, we have a concept. Now what? Like, I had no idea where to go from there. And so, even like after a Google search, there's like all these weird scammy like patent things. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do any of this. So I ended up calling my dad, and I was like, Dad, like, what do I do with this? And he was like, well, why don't you just call like the local plastics place? And I was like, what's a plastics
What?
place? Like, I am so clueless about all of this.
Yeah.
So I end up calling it's like a manufacturing place. They work with plastic, obviously. Met with them and I showed him my design. He's like, yeah, this is really cool, but you're gonna have to have this engineered. And I'm like, what?
Where do I find it? Yeah.
Yeah, where do I find an engineer? And he's like, oh, well, lucky for you, I know a guy. And he happened to work for NASA at one point.
Cool.
Yeah, so then I met with this guy, sat down with him, went over all the design elements, told him all the things that we wanted, how to be dishwasher safe, how to be a certain size, how to stack a certain way. We had all these requirements.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I think I can do that.
Cool.
Yeah, so we've been working on that now for almost 18 months, and we're hoping to launch our product by next month.
Okay, so you're getting close to launching.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah, we're really excited.
So you've been working on it for like a year and a half. What's one of the biggest challenges you think you've faced in the first year and a half?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge was, first of all, I don't really understand any of the engineering stuff. And
Yeah.
so for me to completely put trust in another person and hope that, they're not going to try to scam me out of my money, that I can trust them to carry out my vision, that was a huge hurdle for me to come over.
Yeah.
And then the second thing too was we wanted to go a certain route. So there's this thing called injection molding
Okay.
where the plastic it gets basically put into this like punch piece. You have another piece that basically punches it into the shape you want.
Hmm.
Well, the way we were going to design that, it was going to make our bottles way too expensive. It was going to cut out all our profit margin. And so recognizing like, okay, like you're going to have to be okay with going a different route if you're really going to put this at the price point that you want it to be.
Yeah.
So we went from injection molding to doing blow molding. And a blow molding, it's really common in like bottles, like think of like a plastic milk jug, for example. It
Okay.
has a really funny shape. You use air, some sort of pressure that like opens up that shape. And you have another piece that basically captures it into the shape that you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things you wouldn't even think about.
Yeah,
You just showed me
exactly.
some of your ideas, and I was you don't even think of that. You just see the end product, how it is, and you
Yeah,
don't really think about
exactly.
that.
Well, even me, for example, like I had no idea because I was reading some stuff online, like maybe you could like figure out how to do your own like molds. And after talking to the engineer, I know there's no way I possibly could have done that. Because, for example, one of the things that's really important is you have to have uniformity of the plastic.
Okay.
Because if there's any place that's thicker, it can actually crack through there.
Oh,
And I would have had no understanding. And so it's actually like quite tedious, the process of like getting it just right.
yeah.
So everything comes out
Uniform
perfect.
all the way through.
Yeah.
So importance of, I think that's an important lesson in any business or anything you want to do of seeking out professional advice.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would be the one that would want to make the profit margin the greatest I possibly could, and I'm someone that likes to figure things out, but I could
Hmm.
figure this out.
Hmm.
I would even go to the like, I'll buy a machine, but I wouldn't know anything. So and it could cost more trying to take shortcuts.
And I'm the same way. Like, I'm really about, oh, like, that's going to cost me this amount of money. I think I can figure that out on my own, get that skill set for myself.
Yeah.
But for me, like, the time and effort it would take to really understand all of that, I would have gone through so much more time and money
Trying
learning the hard way than just trusting someone who already knows all that.
getting an expert's opinion.
Exactly.
Awesome. So what role, so you and your niece are working together. How does that dynamic work of like she does the design and you're the visionary, or what
Yeah.
does it look
So
like working
sometimes
together?
I feel like I gave her the short end of the stick because not only does she maintain our like website, but she has to deal with like all the back end stuff. So
Okay.
anytime there's like some sort of update or something funky, she's the one that has to like problem solve it, get that all figured out. I'm doing kind of more of like the financials and just kind of like driving through some of the problems that we come up with
Okay.
or have to basically problem solve through. She definitely does more of like the website stuff. We've both shared like doing social media stuff, but I'm kind of taking more of like the financial business side of things, and she's doing more of the design side of things.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's neat that you guys each use your own gifts and have your own workload to make things operate
yeah,
smoothly, as smoothly as possible.
yeah. It's been really fun working with her.
Awesome. I know a lot of people that want to start a business of some sort. And I think in today's age, people want instant results. They want something right away. They want to make money
Hmm.
right away. They want to have results. It could be in their
Yeah.
health and fitness. It could be in an injury. When you're working with someone as a PA, they want it to be fixed right
Oh
away.
my gosh. I see that all the time, especially athletes, because they
Yeah.
have some marathon next week and they want to be better for it right
Yeah.
away. And no, that's not going to work.
Not gonna work. And so when you're building a business, like you've been working with on this for a year and a half, and I'd assume since the product comes out next month, there's no profit. So you've
No,
been working for free for a year and a half.
exactly.
Do you think a lot of people would be, I don't know, what do you think drives you to, what's your vision? What makes you work without getting paid? Because I see
Yeah.
people that want instant results in something.
So I feel like if this was 10 years ago, I don't think I could have afforded to do this.
Okay.
I have gotten myself into a place which has also come with hard work. Going to PA school was really difficult, becoming a PA was really difficult. But I have created a financial situation along with my husband to get into a comfortable place where I can take a business and put all this work into it
Yeah.
and not get paid. So I may not be like the typical situation for a lot of people, but for me, it's just like the excitement that comes from problem solving. And I think it's something of like a challenge
Yeah.
that there's just something about challenges that like really excite me. Like, can I figure this out? Can I do this?
Yeah.
And so for me, in my free time, I don't really watch TV. If I'm not spending time with my kids, I'm working on my business. And for me, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like I have the luxury of I don't have to rely on it for income. I think if I had to do that, I'd probably be very stressed. Uh, I think there would be lots of credit cards that would be getting maxed out.
Yeah.
But I do have that luxury of I can just do this in my free time. So I do have that going.
That's a great blessing.
Yeah, it is.
So, it's like you've been a PA. Like I'm thinking of sometimes like I have teenagers that watch this too, and kids that are, just out of high school, and they're like they want to do something with their life. They want to
Yeah,
build something. They're debating, do I go to school? What do I go to school for? And I got a kid that's getting ready to graduate too, and they're like, what do I don't know exactly what I want to do for school and this and
yeah,
that. So, what do you think gave you the courage? Because you're a PA, you went to school, you invested all that money in it, you built this career as a PA. What do
yeah.
you think gave you the courage to go do something outside of that?
So part of it, I think, is probably an immature reason. A lot of people have told me you can't do that over the years. And I have this bad habit of wanting to prove people wrong. And it's not even really like, I don't get offended when someone says you can't do that. It's kind of just more like, watch this.
Yeah,
Like, and I don't know if it's just like this rebel side of me, but I really do just like overcoming challenges and just pushing on to the next challenge ahead of me. And so, as far as like a question of like, because I know you've talked a lot about how you haven't gone to school
yeah,
and you've been really successful despite that. And so I'm sure for your kids, especially, it's like, okay, well, do I have to go to school? My dad was successful without school. And I've actually wondered about it like on my end because I have gone to school and I'm like, okay, like, yes, I'm successful going to school, but is it something necessarily that you have to do? Because for this business I'm doing that I believe will be successful, you don't necessarily have to go to school for that.
yeah,
So for me, whether you go to school or not, definitely a personal decision. I know for me, it is um, just some like background, like support, I guess. Like if I get concerned that my business is going to work out, I can fall back on my PA.
yeah,
So the education is helpful to know that even if I do go out and do something really crazy risky with a business that I'm doing myself, I do have this schooling that I can rely on if things fall through.
something you can fall back on.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that with my daughter of like, because she's been debating, do I go to go get an associate's or a bachelor's degree?
Hmm.
And she doesn't really know what she wants to do with that. And, my advice to her, and every parent should have their own advice for their kids. But I was like, You could do that, or you could find a trade that you want to do
Oh
and
yeah.
just go do a shorter, less expensive trade and explore that. And then,
Oh yeah. If I knew some of the trade options that were out there today, I probably would go that route because way less schooling. Then you're going to straight making money right away.
yeah.
So when I went to school, I was very careful thinking about my time versus how much money I would make. And I
Okay.
took as many credits as I possibly could to graduate as quickly as I could so that I was out there making maximum money as opposed to trying to pay my way through school and just making, like minimum
Yeah.
wage and like barely kind of just like limping through school. And I was able to get my associates with nursing. And then from there, I had my bachelor's online while I was still working as a nurse. And so
Okay.
I was very meticulous about what's the fastest way I can start making money.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I was listening to this conversation the other day about I don't like the word busy, like when someone's busy, because you're in a way a busy person. You
Yeah.
got a husband who has his own business. You have three kids. You're a PA. You are building this,
Yeah.
and I like the word productive better. Like you're
I agree
productive
with
with your
that.
time, and that's what I heard when you were talking about how you went through school, the way that you did that
Yeah.
is weren't necessarily busy, but you were productive. Like the maximize your efforts and what you would get in return for that.
I agree with that. And I think like with busy, it creates this idea of like you don't have enough time to do things. But if you think about it, by simply existing, you actually create time, and then you can put that time towards anything you want.
Yeah.
Whatever your priorities in life, that's what you're making time for.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard Brendan Bouchard talk about this, but he talks about, and I'm saying this because we're talking about time. The average person on the low end spends at least 2 hours on social media a day.
I
And
believe
that's
that.
without watching football, baseball, basketball, playoffs, Netflix series. And if you do the math of 2 hours a day, it comes out to 4 full months of 8 hour work
I
days.
completely believe that. Yeah.
And a lot of people say, I don't have enough time to do something else. So when you were talking to me about that, like how you don't really watch shows or do anything, you raise your kids, you're with your husband, you're a PA, and then you focus on creating with your business.
Exactly. And I'm not saying I don't watch TV, but when
Yeah,
I do, it's like it's relaxing time. It's not just like a zone out on the couch,
yeah,
I don't know what to do with myself kind of time.
yeah. It's not a numbing yourself and like you're just want to lay down and put it on and watch till you fall asleep.
Exactly. And I think with that too, like then when I do make time to relax, like I feel like it is more of a relaxing time because I have zoned out before and
Yeah,
you come out of zoning out and you don't feel like any more rejuvenated. You feel just as tired as when you started in. But I feel like when you work hard and then you take that time to relax or play, you really get to enjoy that.
yeah. I think that's an important thing because there's days, sometimes it's Sundays, but there's some Saturdays where I'm just like, I don't do anything.
Hmm.
I don't do my morning reading or journaling or my workout and I'm like I'm just going to chill today and I'm the most tired ever. But when I
Mm,
do the hardest work and I'll like walk the block a few times and I'll be on phone calls and
it's
Zooms and like
so
I'll be
true.
energized. But those days when I'm just like I'm not really going to do much, I'm just drained.
It is so true. I
So,
feel exactly the same way.
yeah. So be productive. It would be a lesson from that. So, what do like? What do you think drives you? Like, where do you see this company going? Like, what's the vision you have for Junamour?
So I feel like the timid me should just tell you, oh, it's just a high side hustle, it's just something to do for fun. But the me who wants to be true to myself says that I see this as being a multi-million dollar company.
Yeah,
Like we have our launching product that I feel like is really going to stand out from anything out there. And then from there, we already have a vision of all the other products that we want to launch.
cool.
And so now it's just a matter of getting the capital to really follow through with the rest of the vision that we have.
Yeah,
So it's actually great for me to put this out there because I feel like I want to be humble. I don't want to talk about that. But if I'm being true and honest, I do see it as being a multi-million dollar company.
I can see that too, and you can tell me that.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Well, that's what I wanted to be too. That would be incredible to watch happen.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think? Well, one of the things I've always heard is that which is why I'm glad you said it, when you put it out to the universe, your goals and your visions and your dreams,
Hmm.
there's other people with similar goals, dreams, and visions, and your ideas can align and collaborate and help it come
Oh,
to pass?
absolutely, absolutely. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting a few other people who have like the same vision that I have. And so we'll tag team a lot of the things that we're having issues with.
Cool.
So one new skill that I've learned is many chat. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that.
I love
Yep.
mini chat.
Yep. So it's a new skill that I've learned, and there's been some other people who are also starting their own business and they've struggled with that. So I've reached out to them like, hey, this is what I've done with many chat. And they've had like feedback for me. They've been really helpful on like social media. Like we'll support each other on social media, comment on each other's posts, just like build
Yeah,
each other up. So it's been really fun just finding this tribe of people who all have like this really awesome, exciting goal for themselves.
that's cool. How did you find these people to collaborate with, and um,
So,
where would one find people like
yeah,
that?
so I feel like when I'm on social media, I definitely gravitate to more of like the inspirational posts.
Hmm.
And so those are the things I'm paying attention to. And then you're seeing the same people who are like commenting. And I think you get advertisements that
Yeah.
like start sending
Would you?
you stuff. Yeah. And so I've actually gotten to some Facebook groups where I've found most of these people to collaborate with and
Cool.
work with. And I've actually done some giveaway collaborations with some other brands to help grow our Instagram page, and those were really successful.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's been really exciting.
That's really neat. I wanted to talk about mini chat real quick because I had an experience and just to share it with you. And someone here might be watching, they can reach
Yeah,
out to you or me and be like, what is mini chat? How does that work?
yeah.
I was chatting with some people that I'm helping them grow their business, and they were talking. We had a Black Friday deal
Okay.
with products, and some of them did some really good work and sold a couple $1,000s worth of product and
Nice.
earned, I had 7 people earn about $500,
Okay.
and it was in their first month, and I was super excited about that. And then they were asking me, and I'm the humble one. I don't really want to put it out there, but I told them, and I was like, well, on Friday, we traveled to Salt Lake, and we were, playing ping pong and watching a movie, and
Mm-hmm.
I made in commissions $1,900. And they're like, what? And I was like, well, over the course of the few weeks leading up, I created with ManyChat like comment VIP, like these different
Mm-hmm.
things, and then it would send to their inbox a thing with a link to opt in their email.
Yep.
And I was like, and I use Flowdesk, and then when they opt in, it sends a series of 6 emails every other day, and it educates people on each of the products. So when
Mm-hmm.
Black Friday came, because of ManyChat, and obviously I had to put things on social media for them to comment that, so it got into
Yep.
place. I was like, I had a list of, over 100 people, and they had all been educated for the past 3 weeks on the products. And when they saw the deal, all I had to do was hop on it was literally 5 minutes. I was like, Gabby, let me put this,
Yep.
it's available. Let me write this email, clicked it to my customer interest list, went out and it did.
Yeah.
And so
Many
a lot of people don't know that that's a thing that you can do.
Yeah, ManyChat is so cool. There's so many different
Yeah,
things. I actually use ManyChat for our giveaways. I was able to collect a lot of emails, text messages. So I've got this whole list of people that we sent for our Black Friday.
cool.
Yeah, so it's really kind of fun, like figuring out these funnels and trying to like tweak them so that you can continue to like basically have all this cash flow or business come through with as minimal effort as you need to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you put in that work to build. If you build systems behind your product, you can do more. I think
exactly.
whether it's this traveling accessories for your shampoo
Yeah.
and or some other product, I think a lot of people are afraid to go do a business too because they're like, I don't want to bother all of my friends and family with my product. Whether it's you going to them, hey, this is my travel thing. Will you buy it from me? Like, no one really wants to do that.
Right.
Hopefully, those loved ones will support you in that, but you have to think bigger. You got to think about how bigger companies market and connect with
Oh,
people that
absolutely.
you can do just the same.
Absolutely. And I think too, like if what you have is really going to create value in people's lives, like you don't need to really worry about like chasing people down. We've had great support from family and friends. They like our product. We have a great product. And I think if you believe in it too, you don't really feel like you're pestering people with it
Yeah,
because if you think it's a great product, I mean, if it's a great movie or anything else, you're going to talk to your friends about it, right? You're not going to be
yeah,
like, oh, I'm just going to keep that to myself.
yeah.
So,
I love that.
yeah.
And so I got a question. This product's coming out in like a month and a half.
Yes.
So how does someone find you guys? Like, what's your website? Like, how do they get their hands on it when the time comes?
Yeah, so our website is junamour.com. Let me actually just
Yeah, go
show.
grab that.
So right on here, it might be backwards, but it's Junamour, Junamour. And that's at junamour.com. And then we are on Instagram, Facebook, X, Threads, all that
You
stuff.
guys are everywhere.
Well, we're mainly on Instagram and Facebook, but yeah, we're kind of everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like how is this gonna like how do you see this changing people's lives, these women that are gonna use this?
So I know for me
Like one should they?
personally,
Yeah.
yeah, so I know for me personally, like I am such a planner. And when it comes to trips, I feel like I like overstress because I'm one of those people that's like overthinking everything.
Yeah.
And so having to worry about my toiletries spilling out is just like one less thing to worry about. And so if I can have people feel like they're more confident when they're packing their stuff, stressing less, they feel like they're getting more out of their like hair products. So for example, like a lot of hair products can be really expensive. Creams for your face can be really expensive for women. And so these products allow you to get like every drop out. And so you're really saving yourself from losing any product. And then if you feel like you can carry this product on your carry-on, then you're saving money from not having to do like a checked-in baggage. So I feel like saving people money in the long run is going to be a
Yeah.
huge benefit for them. I feel like having peace and security with the products that they are carrying with them, their toiletries and everything, and not have to worry about it spilling. I think that's going to be really
I
a game
like that.
changer for them. Yeah.
You'll have to in the future figure out something for cologne because I don't use very much, but I had
Yeah.
a big one and it's all I have. And
Uh-huh.
I went to Orlando like 3 weeks ago and I packed it and I never do because I like to save money. I never
Yep.
check a bag and they took it out and I had to call my wife and she had already driven home. She had to go over there and pick it up.
Oh my gosh,
So
yes.
put that on the radar
That
for
actually is on our list.
cool.
So once we get through this launch, hopefully it's successful, we actually have our second launch of stuff that we want to get going. So
That'll be beautiful.
yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you, I want to go kind of to family business dynamics because I know
Yeah.
your husband has a business and a farm.
Yes.
So her husband is my CPA and he has a farm and you have a business and you're a PA.
Yep.
So how do you balance or have like a successful family and businesses?
Yeah. So I think we realize that there's give and take. So my husband definitely has his seasons of busy work. So he has tax season, he has planning season, and he has harvest. So he's pretty much not available for those times. But the kids love seeing him out on the farm. And so I bring out meals to him. The kids get to go hang out with him for a little bit.
Okay.
So there's times like that that we make the best of those busy times. And then we have seasons like right now. So November, December, January are probably our slowest months. And so we take lots of trips.
Cool.
So we just got back from the Dominican Republic. We go down to St. George a lot. We really make sure that when we do have that time for family, that we just really play hard and have lots of good memories that we make with our kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun. I bet it will be empowering for your kids to see you work hard on something outside of your career, like
Yeah, they
being
love
creative.
asking me about it. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, did your business sell anything today?" And
That's cool
yeah,
that they do that.
yeah.
My youngest is 9, and he never did this before, but I had a business before that it like went away.
Uh-huh.
And so for his whole life, I've been very successful with a business. So he's never really seen me struggle. And
Mm-hmm.
he saw me like only for about 2 days because I can get up pretty quick. But like at the bench at the end of my bed, just like crying,
Mm-hmm.
like just trying to figure out what to do and you know.
Yeah.
And so like we got a better connection through him seeing me struggle with something. Like we went on a walk. He's like mama's boy. And like
Yes.
he held my hand the whole way and chatted with me and like sits on the couch and like wraps his arm around me and let he never really did that. We play sports together, but he's mama's boy.
Yeah.
But every night when I put him to bed, he prays. You made me think about this. When he says his prayer, the last thing that he says every time is, "Please help Daddy find good
Oh,
people for his
oh,
business."
that's sweet.
And so I think it's cool for our kids to see us doing something
Oh
or
yeah.
struggling and overcoming.
Oh,
a
definitely,
challenge.
definitely. And when they do talk to you about, hey, like, why are you doing this? Why are you upset? And then you see that as a teaching moment for your kids. I think that's
Yeah.
really powerful. And that's something that they're probably going to talk to you 30 years down the road and be like, I remember
Yeah,
that.
remember that time.
Yeah,
So we get to be role models. That's our job.
absolutely. So my husband, he started his businesses before I started mine.
Okay.
So I was going through PA school at the time. I was basically living off of student loans, and his business wasn't making any money yet.
Yeah.
So when I say I was living, both of us were living off of my student loans at the time, and it was really stressful. And we had never done something so risky before in our lives. And I remember just laying in bed being like, oh my gosh, like we could lose everything. And
Yeah.
I was having lots of sleepless nights. And I don't know how I came to this conclusion, but I realized if I just accept the worst thing that can happen, it can't hurt me anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought about that. I'm like, okay, so let's say that, you know, my husband's business did fail. It didn't carry through. What would happen to us? Like, okay, we'd lose our house, we'd lose our cars, and that's all we had at the time. Like, but at the end of the day, I mean, we could stay with family until we got settled into maybe an apartment or something. We had the means to be able to make income. We could go get a job somewhere. Like, we'd be okay at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And as soon as I learned that, okay, yeah, bankruptcy is the worst thing that can happen to us, and I just learned to accept it, it didn't scare me anymore. And so now, like, when I choose to make choices that could be really risky, I don't limit myself because I've already accepted the worst thing that could happen with that. And we're in a position that that's okay because we do have these jobs we can fall back on.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, yeah, everyone go get bankrupt. That's not what I'm suggesting, but just recognizing like what's the worst thing that can happen, accept that, and then just move on and don't be
Yeah.
scared of it anymore.
I think that's a powerful lesson for anybody. Not just for the young person to go risk it all and spend
Yeah,
it, but I think that was one of the biggest things for us too is like because I have people that are like, how do you I posted a picture. I went on a cruise like a few days after I found out I lost my business and I just like looked so happy. Gabby
yeah.
took the picture randomly. It's like how can you do that? And I'm just like just perspective. It's like someone asked me like if you knew what was going to happen that your business would be taken away, would you do it again? Knowing everything that you know now and have experienced over the last 15 years, I was
Hmm.
like, I would absolutely do it again
Absolutely.
because it gave me so much freedom to be with my kids and do what I want with my time and to serve people.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
So I was gonna say, so we just talked about, like having your own business can be really risky,
Yeah.
but even being employed can be risky too. So I have to share my grandpa's story. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite stories of all time. So my grandpa used to work as a carpenter. He worked at a local carpentry shop, and he showed up to work one day, and they told him there was no work for him and to go home. And he went home and he thought it over and he's like, I don't ever want to be in this situation ever again that someone else has control of my livelihood.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, he actually got a phone call back from his work, like right after he had that thought, saying, like, hey, we actually do have some work for you. Do you want to come in? And he told him no. He's like, nope, I'm gonna go do my own thing. And my grandpa did. He was self-employed the rest of his life,
Wow.
was super successful, was a great provider for his family. And so a lot of times I love thinking about that story of just like making a decision and just sticking with it and just
Yeah.
moving forward.
That's a powerful story. I
Yeah.
always hear one of my mentors and people that I look up to that says be the one. And when he's talking about it, he's talking about being the one in your family that changes everything for the future.
Hmm.
And you're doing that for your kids, but it's also your grandpa could be that person for you where he's
Oh yeah, he was a huge inspiration in my life.
yeah.
Yeah.
My grandpa had his own business too. He worked for Ford and he started his own. It was always I was always inspired by him because he had his own garage and he
Okay.
fixed cars out in the side and he would be able to walk in and have lunch with my grandma and I would come from work. I worked at Idaho Still, which was just like a half mile away, so I would drive
Uh-huh.
over when I was in high school and eat lunch and I just always saw him there. So I think that's a lot of my desire to be home more came from seeing that.
I could see that.
And also, we didn't have the most money growing up. Like we were blessed. Like I got to go do like a scout jamboree. I had to work hard and pay my own way, which I'm grateful for my parents for teaching me that.
Hmm.
But I remember my grandpa had this belt with a little zipper on the inside, and he would
Yeah.
slip me money once in a while, like, don't tell grandma, you know. And I was like, man, it would be awesome. I was just inspired that he would just give so openly like that, and then I connected the dots that came from him having his own business gave him that
Yeah.
extra means too.
It's funny you say that because I also felt like my grandpa was a huge giver.
Yeah.
And that's actually one thing that I envision. I feel like when you are given more blessings, I feel like there is more responsibility that comes with that. I know it increases my desire that when I'm doing well, I want to share that with other people. So we're always looking for opportunities to bless people or do something. And I'm hoping that as my business grows, that's going to just increase that opportunity for me to be able to bless even more people's lives.
Yeah, that'll be beautiful. See you guys do that as a company and individually.
Yeah.
That'll be powerful.
Yeah.
What do you have any other things that you want to share? Any lessons you've learned from, your experience over the last year and a half?
Yeah. So I actually want to do a special thank you to you.
Okay.
So when I first met you in person, you were introducing me to Beachbody, the coaching business. And at that point, I was at a point in my life where I was really intrigued by owning my own business. I was seeing my husband being successful with his, and
Yeah.
so I was definitely piquing my own curiosity, wanting to try it on my own. But I just didn't see myself as someone who could do that. So I just saw myself as someone very timid, someone who could just get walked over, just didn't really have like the spine to really like stand up and like make things
Yeah.
happen. And so when you introduced me to coaching, it was kind of like I could dip my toes in that and be like, okay, there's not a lot of risk in
Yeah.
this. I can just kind of like try it at my own pace. And I learned a ton of skills from that. I learned about like social media marketing, communication. I learned the like behind the scenes work and effort it really takes to be
Yeah.
successful with a business. A lot of times you see people just being successful and you're like, oh, they just have the charm, they just have like the knack for it. And you don't realize like these are things that they have to really work on. There's a lot of effort they put into this, and people don't see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so I learned so much when I was a coach with you, and I feel like that made a big difference for me. And you recommend this self-development book, Miracle Equation.
Yes.
And I don't know what it was, but that book just lit a fire for me. Like I have like devoured self-development books since then, and I've learned so many things. And I don't even have like the time here to like tell you
Go
like
through everything you've
yeah,
learned
like
from it.
everything I've learned from it. But I think like the biggest takeaway for me is like gaining that self-confidence that I really needed. So the today or the me 10 years ago could not have pulled this business Junamour off.
Yeah.
The me 10 years ago would have been scared to go talk to the plastics guy. And when the plastics guy told me that I needed an engineer, be like, oh, why am I spending all this money on this? It's just to go nowhere.
Yeah.
That's the me 10 years ago. But the me today is like, okay, that's the next step to achieving what we need to do. And that's how I see things now. I see that success comes with challenges,
Mhm.
that you're not doing it right unless you have challenges. Because if you don't have challenges, that means you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're staying in your comfort zone. You're not going beyond that. You absolutely have to have those challenges. And so, if you're thinking of starting your own business and you come up with a challenge, that's not the universe telling you no.
Yeah.
That's the universe saying, okay, step up to the plate.
Yeah.
This is the first base that you have to get through to get to the next and the next and the next before
Yeah.
that home run. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. So, I really want to thank you for that because I really feel like you did help with my own personal journey with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's my mission. It's funny. I always talk to people. I was like, my mission is not to sell someone a product for the rest of their life. Like my mission is to help remind people their family is the most important work on earth, help them feel better. And I love health and wellness, so it's always going to be in that space somehow,
Sure.
and help them earn more income for their family. And like so, Beachbody, for example, it wasn't like my role is that you are selling workout DVDs for the rest of your life. My mission never says that. It says help you earn more income for your family. So
Hmm.
when you say that, it brings me great joy because you're doing that. You're doing something you're passionate about, you're growing, challenging yourself, and hey, you're going to earn more income for your family and be able to contribute
Yeah.
to charities and give like you were mentioning before.
And I feel like too, I just feel like the confidence that comes with it is just like so empowering too, because it's not just like from a financial standpoint, it's from like everything about my life. By approaching with more confidence, there's just so much more joy to be had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were mentioning you mentioned baseball, and so that hits a spot with me because I wanted to be a pro baseball player when I was
Okay.
younger. I don't know if you know that,
No,
but
I don't think I did.
so I heard an example the other day, and I want to give you this example and anybody listening because you talked about eventually you hit that home run, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when someone gets up to bat, they swing, you're going to strike out. You're going to hit the ball and they're going to throw you out.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be like you're working on your business. You go to one plastics company, it doesn't work, strike out. Or you go try to sell your product to someone that you think is going to help take you to the next level and or be able to experience it, and then they'll share it with all of their people and they tell you no, and that's a strikeout, and you could feel like this great failure, right?
Sure.
But the thing about with baseball is when you are up to bat, if you can hit 3 out of 10 times, it's a batting average. It's called a batting average. It's a 300 batting average.
Mm-hmm.
That's only 3 out of 10 times. That means 7 times you get out and 3 times you get on. You're a millionaire.
It's true.
Pros with 300 batting average, you can be a pro and they're a millionaire. So if you can hit 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10 times in your
Yeah.
business, then you can have $1 million business, I believe.
And it's funny you say that because leading up to where I'm at now, so I actually had another online business before the one I currently have,
Okay.
and I needed that experience, but it definitely was a strikeout for me. It
Yeah.
was I don't know why. I like to just jump in, don't know what the heck I'm doing. And I learned lots of things though along the way.
Yeah.
So I started this shoe boutique. I did have sales, but it was like cutthroat. Like the competition out there was crazy, the price slashing. I could not compete with these large companies.
Yeah.
Despite that, though, I found out a way, made a few $1,000s in sales, sold from like California and New York, like had
Cool.
some great sales, but ultimately I was like, this is not the way I want to go with things.
Yeah.
But I took that experience, took all the negatives I learned from it, and realized, okay, that's how I overcome it for what I'm doing with this business. So I guess if you're just looking at it from the outside, like, oh, you striked out with that business, that was a financial failure.
Yeah.
But I just took everything I learned from that and totally rolled it right into this.
Into the new adventure.
Exactly.
Learn from your mistakes and
Exactly.
lessons and try to improve. There's this guy I was listening to the other day. I'm always listening. You can see all the books back here, but
Yep.
I'm always listening. And I've become friends with him. He would see my daughter and I throw football, and he would comment on it once in a while. But his brand is adversity builds character,
Okay.
and so I love your shoe boutique. There was some adversity. There was some challenges and price slashing and things you couldn't keep up with. But it
Hmm.
built more character in you, more strength and resilience to go on to the next thing. And
Absolutely.
I think too many times we have to make sure that we're not, when those challenges are coming into our lives, that we're not putting it in a bad light of saying like, oh, I'm a failure or I'm not cut out for this, but saying like, okay, what could I learn from this experience to take my life to
Absolutely.
the next level?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, to begin to wrap up, what would you want someone listening to this that wants to level up their life and do something more with their life, whatever that might be? What
Yeah.
advice would you give them?
I would say have an honest conversation with yourself. Like, what is it that you want? Like, even if that thing, whatever it is, you feel like you shouldn't say it out loud or you're like scared because you're like, that could never happen.
Yeah,
Like, have an honest conversation with yourself. What do you want? And then write those down. You have to have goals because without those goals, they're not going to happen. And then from there, it's like, okay, how are you going to achieve those goals? You may not have to have the answer right then and there because you may not have a skill set to even figure out what that is.
yeah,
And so, what you need to do is find people who are achieving the kind of goals that you want, or get like self-development books like the ones that you recommend. Because from there, I mean, you see people in some of those books, bottom of the bottom, and they
yeah,
have huge success. And I feel like a lot of people can relate because, like, oh my gosh, like, you think everyone has to have this charisma and charm to be successful, but that's not really the case. It's just a matter of having a dream and then doing the work to go after it.
yeah. So get a dream, get a clear vision of your life. I had a good conversation. A couple things. You were saying the book you see people when I lost my business, I was like, and you've lost businesses or they failed and weren't what you wanted them to be.
Yeah.
Um, I'd heard over and over in podcasts, in audiobooks, and reading books of people that lost their business, or someone
Hmm.
even cheated them out of a couple $1 million, and then they were $1 million in debt, whereas not just like it went to zero,
Right,
and then they
right,
came back and did things even bigger. So
right.
even me just hearing all those things, I was like, other people have gone through worse than this and came back even better. And so
Absolutely.
I just like said to myself, like, why not me? I'm gonna be one of those that comes back even better. And so I think that's a good,
I think part of that is resiliency and the hope that you have to be resilient. And I think part of it too is not putting a timeline on when these dreams or goals are going to happen. So if you put a timeline and say, okay, if it doesn't happen by this time, it's not going to happen. Well, great. You just put this ticking time bomb on your goal because
your
if you
dream.
don't reach it right then and there,
Yeah.
um, there's this example or story of this. I think it was a Vietnam prisoner of war, and he was in prison, I think, for like 7 years.
Wow.
And he said the thing that kept him alive was that he would say, I'm going to get out one day. And he never put a timeline on when he was going to get out. So even if you did have, some crazy success and then everything just gets pulled out from underneath you, you can't say like, well, that was it. Like that
Yeah.
was the success, that was the dream or goal all along.
Yeah.
I think as long as you just continue to have that resiliency, that hope within you, and that you're not rushing. You can have this urgency so that you do the work, but you don't need to rush it. Just let
Yeah.
it come to you on its own time. And I think everything will work out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you need to have a clear vision of what you want your life to look like. You need to have goals. A timeline is good, but only if it's going to challenge you to work towards it, not
Right.
procrastinate.
I think you do need to have that
But
urgency, but
yeah. But
yeah.
if you put a thing like if Junamour is not making X amount of dollars by 2027, then that's it.
So I was hoping to launch this brand February of this year,
Okay.
and it's now December.
Yeah.
So if I had been like, oh, great, we didn't launch in February, this business is a failure,
Yeah.
it would have been a failure. But the way I've seen it is like, okay, well now we're putting more time into our website. We're putting more time into learning ManyChat. We're learning more about our email and SMS campaigns. And so we're just getting bigger and bigger and even more prepared for this launch. And that's the way we're seeing it. And because of that, I do think our launch come next month is going to be way more successful than the launch we would have had that I envisioned for
Yeah.
February of this
If you
year.
just tried to push it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think if you have that deadline, a deadline in that aspect, you're pretty much at that point you're pretty much giving up. I feel like that. If
I
you're
think
like,
it's an excuse to
if
give
I don't
up.
have X amount, then your mind will look for every reason to why it won't work or shouldn't work if
Hmm.
you're not where you want to be at that time.
Exactly.
I love that you said to get an idea of what you want your life to look like. That was important. Like I've always helped other people with that, I feel like. But when I was in a predicament where I needed to make a shift and a change,
Hmm.
and I think this is important for anybody listening to this, is I had someone that I look up to ask me, he's like, "Well, what do you want your life like what do you imagine doing 5 to 10 years from now?" Because I was like going through all these things like just momentarily for a couple of days, like maybe I could go work at the site. Like I have a friend that I wouldn't have to do any, like I could literally just lift
Sure.
weights, be a firefighter or a security guy and play
Yeah.
video games. But my not like when I've decided what I wanted my life to look like, it never involved going away from the family to work for someone else or
Sure.
them telling me I can or can't go on vacation because I have a work schedule. And so
Hmm.
it was very easy for me because I had a clear idea of what I want my life to look like that I needed to figure out something else to do that I could do from home, like some
Hmm.
sort of business that I could work on, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So it was easy for me to make that choice.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you just had this big shift in your life, but you had this incredible skill set that you developed. And so you were able to bounce right into something else.
Yeah. And you talked about that too, having a little experience with a former company, Beachbody, working alongside me, is you learn like whatever it is that you're doing, whatever business you're working on or thing that you're working on, give it everything you have so you can learn the skills. Because maybe if that thing is not the thing for you, you could take that to the next. Like you've taken everything that you've done now into Junamour.
Absolutely. Well, no, it's funny because even my job as a PA, so all that social media marketing, I actually took that to my job and helped our clinic with their social media marketing. And I got feedback from one of our director managers that our clinic had the #1 social media presence. Our SEO for Google was top notch. Like we were knocking out of the park compared to everyone else. I'm like, I just learned all that from Beachbody,
That's cool.
is where that came from.
That's a good point for anybody that's out striving to work on anything. It's just, yes, you want results in whatever your business is that you're working on, but focus more on the process, on
Absolutely.
learning, on self-education and building your confidence in yourself.
Absolutely. And if I had stopped at Beachbody and if I had decided I wasn't going to do anything else with that, that would have been a dead end. But ultimately, I've learned more and more and more skill sets. As a PA, everything we learn is strictly medical. We don't do anything business related whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so for me to be learning business things, to be learning some engineering things, I'm not saying I'm the expert, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's why we're doing it that way.
Yeah.
And then just learning like the social media marketing. I mean, it's just even fun like talking to other people because even if we're in different industries, it's fun that we can talk about some of the same things because
Yeah.
there is some overlap.
Yeah. And I think that's important too, that you mentioned that you did that, you found people in other groups and on social media that you're collaborating and sharing ideas,
Yeah.
is to like look outward and reach out to people and make connections, and maybe not to be a part of that maybe they're not going to buy Junamour from you or buy your product from you, but you
hmm
can learn something from every human that you run into.
Yeah, and it's just even fun like talking to people, problem solving, collaborating.
Yeah.
I think you can just get so much like fulfillment out of those sort of things as opposed to just being busy, just
Yeah.
trying to fill your time with nothing.
Yeah. Being more intentional about growing something awesome.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, it's been an absolutely awesome interview with you. I
Yeah.
learned some incredible things that I didn't know you went on. Life's busy with 5 kids and you have your kids, and
Yeah.
like I didn't know you did your worked on a shoe business.
Yeah, I've done a
It's been
few things.
incredible.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me on
Yeah.
here. I actually want to do a thank you for your followers as well.
Okay.
So I want to do a Scottie Hobbs discount code
Cool.
for our travel bottles, 30% off, and that's gonna be good all through 2025.
Okay, so they go to your website, junamour.com. I'll
Yep.
put it in the description.
Yeah,
Put Scottie Hobbs and they get 30% off.
exactly. And that's gonna
Awesome.
be for our travel bottles. So we don't have them on the website yet,
Okay.
but come January, we
In
should have those
January.
on there. Yeah,
Okay, so when you listen to this in January, or when you listen to it now, put it in your calendar so you can go support Kay's business.
exactly. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us on this episode of season 2, and we hope that you enjoyed the content we shared with you today. We're here to remind you that your family is your most important work on earth, help you feel better, and learn how to earn more income for your family. If you enjoyed this episode with Kay, please leave a positive review and share it with a friend.